the Swift, the car that changed Maruti's brand image completely, from appealing just to the elderly in the family to also the youth. That's thanks to the bold and sporty styling and also its fun to drive character. This is the new 2021 version, which is basically a facelift of the third generation of this car, which was launched in 2017. And I'm happy to report there are loads of changes on it. Let's start with the design. Let's start with the first change and the most obvious one. You get a new grille. It looks more sporty thanks to the mesh pattern, and you also get this chrome finish which lifts the overall front end of this car. Other changes to the front include same. Let's move on to the back. And at the back you get new tail bumper back. Okay, I'm sure there are more changes on the side. Let's see. You get new wheels. No.
Same.
Okay, this is getting a little embarrassing, but yes, you do get a contrasting black roof as standard on the top ZXi Plus variant if you buy the red, the blue or the white color. So there are hardly any changes on the outside, but I'm sure there are more on the inside, considering that this car costs 25,000 rupees more as compared to the old one. So let's check it out. Aha! That's new. So basically every time you press the ignition key, the mirror opens on its own, and every time you are done driving and you get out and you lock the car, it shuts. How convenient. Other than that, on the inside you get cruise control, and also you get a color TFT display in between the instrumentation. We have seen this on the Baleno. It is quite clear to read and there's loads of information over here. Other than that, the changes on the inside, screen.
Same hai.
Tu hi kar le.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, rest of the car on the inside remains the same, so you get the same quality, which isn't good as say something like a Neos, but it is average and acceptable.
The seats too are unchanged. As a result, the front seats are accommodating and offer good support. At the back, the Swift offers decent amount of knee room and the bench is well shaped and comfortable. There are plenty of storage spaces in the cabin, and even the glove box is of decent size. The boot at 268 liters is decent, but the lid opening is quite high and narrow, which makes loading heavy bags a shoulder-straining affair.
So where has the rest of the money gone? I have to find it. Aha! This is where the money has gone. Sure, it's still a 1.2 litre engine, but this is the dual jet that you get in the Dzire and the Baleno. So, apart from it being more high-tech with mild hybrid technology and being a lot more fuel efficient, this engine also makes more power. And this is where I feel Maruti has been really smart, because the core value of the Swift has always been its driving manners. And with this more powerful engine, I think this car might just get even better. Alright, let's get driving. So I always loved the Swift chassis, and now with more power it's going to be a lot more fun, I hope. Okay, press the clutch. Clutch? There's no clutch? Oh god, this is the AMT transmission. I need to get the manual. Hello? Hey, you all have sent the AMT, man. It's not fun, yeah. I want the manual. Ajay, you'll send it here. Oh, super. Thanks. So, we are going to get to drive the manual also, but we'll start with the AMT first. And I'm doing this just for y'all. So, you better subscribe. And also, press on that bell icon. Now the question is, does this engine feel more powerful, especially with the basic AMT gearbox? Well, The difference isn't night and day, but at low speeds, you do feel the difference, especially between 2000 to 3000 RPM, where this engine feels more punchy, and driving it in the city as a result becomes a lot easier. And when you're ambling along in the city with a light throttle, even the upshifts are surprisingly smooth. And even when you want to execute a quick overtake, when you floor the throttle, even the downshifts are surprisingly quick for an AMT. But on the downside, when you're hard on the throttle, the upshifts are a little bit on the slower side, where you do feel a bit of a pause and you do get a head nod. This slowness of the gearbox doesn't only spoil the fun when it comes to straight line performance, but also when you're going around corners.
For example, you're driving up your favorite ghat road and mid-corner, if you have to upshift, the slowness of the gearbox causes quite a bit of weight transfer to the front. As a result, in this situation, the Swift AMT can feel a bit unnerving.
So overall, this AMT gearbox adds to the convenience for sure, and in terms of city driving, it feels good, but it does spoil a bit of the fun factor. Now, I'm driving the manual version of the car, and straight away it is so much better to drive. For one, the clutch is light, the gearbox is slick, which makes every gear shift a joy. And if you don't like shifting too much, no worries, because this engine feels torquey. It pulls cleanly from as low as 1000 RPM, which makes your life really easy. Like we experienced in the AMT, even in the manual, this engine doesn't feel that much more powerful. But surprisingly, our VBox data says otherwise. The 0 to 100 sprint in this car is a second quicker as compared to the old engine. But it's not only the fast times that really impresses you, but also the way this engine reacts while doing it. For one, the throttle response is immediate. This engine also feels refined, and when you really push it hard near the red line, you get this satisfying snarl from the engine which just puts a smile on your face. Overall, the old 1.2 motor was already a benchmark in this segment, and with the new one, they have shifted the goalposts further. The Swift was always fun to drive, and the updated one is no different. This car just darts into corners like none of its rivals do. Even when you push hard, there's no understeer to speak of. In fact, when you go off throttle mid-corner, the rear comes around but very predictably, which helps you to correct your lines. So, the combination of this potent engine and this beautiful chassis makes the Swift one of the most engaging hatchbacks that you can buy right now. If I have to complain a bit about its handling, it's the steering. Sure, the steering is accurate and the quick rack really complements the beautiful chassis. But the way it weighs up is a little weird. It feels a bit too light, especially in a straight head position, and it doesn't self-center once you give it a slight bit of lock. So out on the highway, you have to constantly correct the steering to keep going in a straight line.
As for the ride, it does feel a bit stiff at low speeds, and you can feel the suspension thump through the light body. Though it never gets to the point of being uncomfortable, and it's something you can live with. However, as you go faster, the Swift's ride does get a lot better. As a result, long distances can be covered in the Swift comfortably.
So overall, on the surface, if you go and look at the Swift in a showroom, you might actually be disappointed because on the outside it looks almost identical, and even the feature list is almost the same. And then there's the fit and finish on the inside, which isn't as good as something like a Grand i10 Neos. But actually, when you drive it, you realize that this new engine is a step better as compared to the old one, which was already a benchmark. Not only that, it is also a lot more fuel efficient than before. And then there's the handling, which is still the best you can get in a budget hatch. So if you're in the market to buy a relatively practical, but more importantly, a fun to drive budget hatch, then you can't really go wrong with the Swift.